Give her a big round of applause. Free the land. 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 You know, I'm just really happy to be here today. This is, we heard a lot of talk about family, and Brother Bandeli is right. This is a family. I just know so many people here from so many different experiences. These young folks who I haven't met too long ago are the ones that got me in this race, all right? But and I'll explain that later. But, you know, John Britton here, go way back. When I was in Mississippi in the early 70s. He was one of the lawyers for the RNA-11. Then we have Brother Bandeli. Brother Bandeli didn't mention the fact that we used to come over to his office and use his paper up to print our newsletter. You know, he was trying to print his. But that was the kind of way that we shared the East and the Provisional Government of the Republic of New Africa and all the rest of us. And we got our comrades in the Republic of New Africa. Brother Kalanji is here, and Brother the UNIA, brother, where we at, brother? Sincor, Brother Sincor. We just got so many comrades here that go back from long ago. Our APSP comrades are here. So we. And APRP, I'm sorry, no, I can't forget you, I can remember, in fact, we talked about Matulu's case. Kwame Ture stayed with me at my house for about a week, testified in Matulu's case in an effort to try to make sure that Matulu wouldn't be convicted. So we have a very beautiful family. Some of these, and I go through some of this just to help educate some of our younger people in the Malcolm X grassroots movement and others who may not have been around that long. I got one of my daughters here. You mentioned 3 children. Of course, you know, we black folks always got these extended families, right? And so we got, so my daughter recruited a whole lot of other daughters for me, you know, when she was in Mississippi. And so we have one of my daughters up front here. And this new young man she got here that I'm checking out very closely, right? So we want to thank all of you for being here and for engaging with us in this discussion of nationalism, Pan-Africanism, and African internationalism in the 21st century. This is really the discussion which we are about. We are about the discussion anti-imperialism in the 21st century. That's right. Humanism in the 21st century. That's right. This is why we're here talking about me running in a campaign. Because actually the struggle which we are engaged in has not changed. Struggles don't change until you win victories. You have a national liberation struggle until you win national liberation. We haven't won national liberation, notwithstanding some pretty significant events which have just happened and which, among other things, have been great theater, all right? I gave up football games and basketball games to watch the whole odyssey of Barack Obama's campaign. But one very moving moment, and all of us were moved. I don't care if you hardline, low, top of the line, revolutionary, internationalist, I don't care. You were moved. And you were moved. Because you're African, because you're black, and because this whole thing about Jim Crow and apartheid that sucked our dignity, that said that we weren't human beings, was a part of our struggle. It's not all of our struggle. It's not even actually ultimately the most important part of our struggle, but it is part of our struggle. So when I was talking to my mother as I was watching Barack Obama deliver his inauguration speech, I asked Mom, I said, "How you doing?" And she had been in bad shape for a long time. And she said to me, she said, "Pretty good now, son. Pretty good now, son." And I thought of marching for SNCC to raise funds in Detroit back in the 50s or the 60s, early 60s. I thought of her going to Martin Luther King's demonstration and dragging me out there. It was 250,000 people speaking in June of 1963 before King spoke in August of '63 in Washington, D.C. I thought of all those times we sat at places and didn't get served, right? And all those times she had to hold my father back so he wouldn't get killed by some cops or by some police and stuff. And all those things that we've gone through, and her tutelage at the moment of Emmett Till, which is frozen in so many of our minds. When the Jet magazine published the picture of Emmett Till, and I told her, I said, Mama, they gonna get these bad people. And Mama said, it's not just bad people, son. It's a bad country. It's a bad situation. She said, it's not just these people that's racist. Say America is affected with a disease called racism. And so it was come to that tutelage, and when she said, I'm doing all right now, son, that meant to me that something had significantly happened in our movement.
That's right.
And what had significantly happened is that what we had just seen was a crowning victory in the civil rights movement. What we had seen, and in all movements, all liberation struggles, I don't care if you're talking about Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana, I don't care if you're talking about the struggle in Zimbabwe when they had the United Front in Zimbabwe. In all movements, there are struggles for democratic rights. I don't even care if you're talking about the struggle in Vietnam, right? There are struggles for democratic rights which are attached to your movement, which attempt to deliver the people from levels of unmitigated indignity and inhumanity. And what our people saw when Obama was elected to that position was that they had impacted upon the system to a certain degree, that they, although didn't deliver by themselves, but had positioned a person where he could be put into that position, something that we never thought we would see in history. So the symbol is immense. The theater was immense. And in fact, even what happened was significant. Now the struggle is the same. Now the one thing that civil rights victory does, it creates, with the right work from us, the ability to move our work forward, but it also has in it inherent the possibilities of destroying our movement and setting our movement back. Because when all is stripped from what has occurred, opinions here, opinions there, what we find is that Barack Obama's election and placement in the government of the United States as the President of the United States was accomplished in part because there were people who felt that imperialism needed a new face.
Yes.
There's no question about that.
That's right.
In fact, imperialism was desperate for a new face.
That's right.
Because George Bush had destroyed everything else. He had made it almost impossible to get anything based upon, check this term out, the goodwill of imperialism, right? I mean, you couldn't smile no more and get no place. You couldn't sit in any more phony missionaries or messengers and get nowhere. All you could do is come with two-gun shooting, you know, and get in place. And so those at high levels of the American imperialist system, the Dachau's and so on and so forth, they had begun to feel that there was no way that they were going to begin to make it in something unless something very different occurred in the United States presidency. And what better for imperialism than Barack Obama, right?